Hi, welcome to the video. My name's Nightchronic, and today I wanted to take a look at my favorite Titan exotics in Destiny 2. And of course, as always, I have made a spreadsheet for this video, which can still be found in my Discord server, link in the description down below on the channel, #spreadsheetstocks. And of course, this spreadsheet is going to be your one-stop guide to understanding all of the exotics for all the different classes in the game, with PvE and PvP rankings for everything. And real quick, and I will try to be brief about this, if you have not picked up Destiny 2 Nightfall and you want to buy it for Steam, please do so at nexus.gg/Dichronic, link in the description down below. If you did not know, Steam takes a 30% cut of pretty much everything across their platform. And on nexus.gg, Bungie actually gets closer to 90% instead of 70%. And of course, I get a part of that as well. So if you want to support Bungie as a creator, you want to buy it on Steam, you still want to get Nightfall, please do so, link in the description down below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. On screen right now, this is my spreadsheet. All of its dark theme, color-coded pictures, PvE and PvP rankings, recommendations for every exotic in the game, as well as the top 10. Before we get into the top 10, just wanted to mention the new exotics. I did not technically cover last season Titan exotics, so we're going to talk about Second Chance and Point Cannon Cantap. Point Cannon Cantap. First up, Second Chance. Came out last season, gives you an extra shield throw melee, and you also make it barrier rounds. So you can actually break barrier champion shields with that shield throw, which, as I've said on many other exotics, depending on an ability to break a champion is not dependable, because there are so many more champions, you may want to use these abilities otherwise, and furthermore, technically doesn't even one-shot a barrier champion shield on Grandmasters. In my opinion, when I break a barrier champion shield, it should be a one-shot, it should take him to half health, it should be a giant explosion that said, "Good job, buddy," and it should give me my super as well, because that's absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't one-shot. And of course, the other part of it is the double shield throw, which allows you to have overflow charging on your melee, which is okay, gives you some overshield, but not the best. The other exotic, which we will not pronounce again, we'll call Cannon Brace, came out this season. Honestly, started off really powerful, and then they nerfed the absolute hell out of it, and in my opinion, the worst exotic in the game. And I do not say that very lightly, because Stronghold and those one Warlock boots do exist. So essentially, if you've never heard of it, whenever you defeat targets with your Thunderclap melee, which is the big chargy one, you get melee energy. And this is like 5%, it's next to nothing, and targets near you when you use that ability suffer lightning strikes, like with Cloud Strike. However, these do so little damage that in Patrol, it doesn't kill red health bar enemies. What in the game doesn't kill red health bar enemies in Patrol? So in my opinion, there's almost always a better option in every way than this exotic. Moving on, let's go ahead and get into the top 10, starting at number 10, finally a good exotic, we have the Peacekeepers. Was very close to getting it last season as SMGs were on the rise, and nowadays we have even more SMGs, more craftable SMGs, and honestly SMGs are a bigger part of the meta than they used to be. And this allows you to reload them easily, allows you to ready them instantly, improves the handling overall, gives you a handling scaler, which feels a lot like Dragon Shadow, and of course your movement speed is increased when you're using an SMG, which is very similar speed to that of Dune Marchers, which if you don't know, speed is a huge part, which is why the speed boots on every class are in the top 10. And obviously in PvE, this is not super useful, but even without an SMG, it does feel like it would be a lot better than Cannon Brace, which is not literally true, but kind of feels funny. Following that at number 9, we have the Doomfang Pauldrons. In my opinion, one of the most fun and underrated exotics in the game. If you've never heard of it, void melee kills give you super energy, so you can build your build around getting void melee kills, like with the shield throw. You can get your super back, but the best part is while Sentinel Shield is active, your melee kills give you a shield throw, and your shield throw hits extend your super. You can get double shield throw, overflow charging allows you to last in your super a lot longer. Just in general, just throwing your shield as much as possible makes it last a lot longer, and this particular super has a ranged option, has a good melee option with AoE, and has the ability to block damage and support your team. The Banner Shield, built into this subclass now, allows your teammates to shoot through it, lasts a lot longer while you're blocking them, and also spawns in orbs for blocking damage. This is a really good super, in my opinion, very underrated, and this makes it last a lot longer. Following that at number 8, we have the Aeon Safe. Pretty much the same as any of the other Aeon exotics, you can spawn in heavy and special ammo for your teammates with Sective Insight, on top of the other things that nobody ever uses, but there are other things. And this one, again, is really nice because spawning heavy ammo is a huge part of ammo economy, which is not allowed pretty much anywhere else in the game, maybe Whisper the Worm these days, which is obviously incredibly powerful. After that, at number 7, probably one of the most boring top-rated exotics, we have the Crest of Alpha Lupi, an exotic that probably nobody uses, but if they do, it does have good effect. If you've never heard of it or you don't remember it, it generates an additional orb of light for your supers, either on that first kill or activation like with Bubble, and a healing pulse whenever your barricade is active. And technically that pulse does heal your teammates, but this is more of like a worm husk crown. If you're panicking, you need protection, you put up a big old barricade, you get some healing, and it does give you an advantage in PvP. On top of also spawning more orbs, which is very powerful for helping your team. And of course, it can be used on any subclass and can be used anywhere in PvP and be very useful. Following that at number 6, we have the Lorelei Splendor Helm, which is an exotic that was pretty broken for the last 2 seasons for a bunch of different reasons, and now, in my opinion, still an excellent exotic. If you did not know, the most recent change is they changed it from Restoration 2, which is the speed of restoration, down to a Restoration 1, which is on par with just regular sunspots. So essentially, the only thing that this does, and in my opinion, the best part of what it ever did, was whenever you get critically wounded, it automatically threw down a sunspot, consumed your class ability if it was there, and you get starting your healing, and you also get ability regeneration from the sunspots or any interaction with those sunspots. And although the speed of restoration before was pretty cracked, the speed now can be useful in a lot of different ways. Although in PvP, it doesn't often make the difference of time to kill unless your time to kill was so very tight. And in general, obviously Solo 3.0 with the bonk hammers is also really nice to have. So a good exotic on a good subclass. Following that, let's go ahead and get into the top 5. At number 5, we have the Ursa Furiosa, probably one of the best exotics that I rarely use. In case you've forgotten, whenever you guard damage in your Sentinel Shield super, it converts that into super energy whenever the super ends, allowing you to get around half your super back, up to half of your super back if you block a bunch of damage. And obviously, having a built-in banner shield for every Sentinel Shield, having your teammates behind you makes it last a lot longer, spawning in a ton of orbs for your teammates to get their supers, and then getting half your super back. They use their supers, you'll probably get most, if not all, of your super back from theirs, and you continue that cycle over and over, making it an excellent option for Grandmasters. Although, below Grandmasters, you might not get as much use out of it because enemies aren't shooting at you nearly as much. And furthermore, Banner Shield in general gives you the highest damage bonus of around 40%, which is the highest in the game. Following that at number 4, we have the Dune Marchers, which is the same as it's ever been. You sprint faster, which is inherently one of the best things to have in the Crucible, and you build up a static charge for your melee attack, which allows you to do extra melee damage to a bunch of enemies in front of you. You flinch them, you stun them, you hit enemies you don't even know about. It's always going to be very useful, especially considering that melee is a decent option in the Crucible. Although, technically, we have been in more of a defensive meta, this is one of the few options that keep you on the ground, which is great because it's not based on airborne effectiveness. After that, at number 3, we have the One-Eyed Mask. Again, for the same reason it's always been, it's really good for the Crucible. You highlight enemies who damage you, which is a nice little silhouette. Although you cannot see that through walls, it is useful. And the more important part, you track down that enemy, you get an overshield, which is obviously very powerful, especially after healing rifts and wells and healing grenades don't give you overshields anymore. One-Eyed Mask giving an overshield makes it even more unique, which is obviously really nice because it improves your gun gameplay, which is obviously something that's not very common within exotics. Following that at number 2, we have the Curious of the Falling Star, the Titan's number 1 and pretty much only option for increased and the best DPS that Titans have as an option for the game. Essentially, it gives double damage to your missile and you get an overshield, which helps you escape after you hit the target. Now, the big issue with this is not the fact that it is the only and the best option for Titans, is that the Hunters now have like multiple options that are better than that, including the Knock 'em Down Blade Barrage with starter scales that does almost double the damage. That being said, obviously Arc 3.0 with those extra better storm grenades has made Arc a little bit better, and in general it's still the best option. It's still going to be amazing. And finally, at number 1, we have the Heart of Inmost Light. And if you don't know about this exotic, you've been living under a rock, because it has been dominant for quite some time, and even better this season with Arc 3.0 and those extra storm grenades and that aspect that makes storm grenades and arc grenades really good. Heart of Inmost Light has been pretty dominant. If you've never heard of it, using any of your abilities, grenade, melee, or barricade, empowers the other 2 abilities, which makes them do more damage, I think like 30% more damage, and Empower it also gives you faster regeneration, up to 2 stacks. So you can use your barricade, then your melee, and then your grenade is charging really fast, and you can also do a lot more damage with it. And if there's also like a modifier, like on a Nightfall, that makes you have more arc ability or stasis ability regen, you can get your grenades like every few seconds, which is crazy. And just in general, I find that Heart of Inmost Light really bridges the gap with a lot of builds, and honestly, most builds in the game are based around your abilities, one ability or the other, and this allows you to get those things much faster and often brings them closer to zero than ever before. Personally, I really love using this on my stasis build. Throw down a glacier grenade, slide through it, use my barricade, hit somebody with my melee. Everything is charging a lot faster, giving my glacier grenade a 10-second cooldown. On top of all the other mods, technically, that I'm also using, like grenade kickstart, utility kickstart, it gives me my glacier grenades every 10 seconds. If you don't know, it's one of the slowest grenade charge in the game, usually 2.5 minutes. I get it in 10 seconds, and Heart of Inmost Light is the crux of that build. That being said, it is not the #1 option for everything. When you want to do DPS, you're probably better off with Curious or Ursa. If you want to have something more focused on your gun gameplay in Crucible, you're probably better off with One-Eyed Mask. If you want to make sure you survive things, maybe Loreley's will be a better option. So keep in mind, #1 isn't always the best option, even though this is very general. And of course, if you have not purchased Destiny 2 Nightfall or the other Destiny DLCs or any game you want to buy on Steam, please do so at nexus.gg/Diachronic. Because if you did not know, at this website, you pay the same price as Steam even during sales, and more of the proceeds go towards Bungie the creator, and some of it comes towards me as the content creator. And of course, a big shout out my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, big thank you to Mom, Dad, Monday, Steve Bachman, Junior Panther, Case Reagan, Marcus Clever, for all their support on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name's Diachronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.